Picture the cockpit of a modern airliner, and virtually everyone will assume it has two seats side by side, one for the pilot and one for the co-pilot. This is a practice that's been followed since the earliest days of commercial passenger aviation, but with advancements in automation, could we see a single pilot controlling the plane? Airbus is working with Hong Kong's Cathay Pacific on what it calls reduced crew flying, using its A350 jet. Essentially, this means the aircraft can operate with just one pilot instead of two. Typically, one of the two flight deck officers will work as a pilot, flying the plane, activating the autopilot, and being in overall charge, whilst the co-pilot will manage communications over the radio and to the crew, as well as keeping an eye on the pilot's actions. This helps to break up the workload and ensures there's a check on the pilot's actions and serves as a redundancy in the event of one of the pair suffering an emergency or illness. So why are Airbus and Cathay Pacific looking to change this? The bulk of the flight deck's workload happens before and during takeoff, and the same with landing. Once an aircraft has established altitude, most airlines ask pilots to switch over to the autopilot for the duration of the cruise. The pilots remain in position monitoring the aircraft and ready to take over should the need arise. As Cathay are predominantly a long-haul airline, it means their flights are in the cruise state for much longer. The work they are doing with Airbus is to allow a single pilot to monitor the aircraft during this part of the flight. This may seem unnecessary. If the co-pilot is still needed for takeoff and landing, where is the benefit? The answer comes in the even longer, ultra-long-haul flights, where airlines have to take a second flight crew to operate part of the flight. This obviously adds significant cost to the airline, as the extra crew will need space on the plane for them and their luggage, which could otherwise be sold, as well as the cost of accommodation in hotels at the far end of the flight for twice as many people. The airline are hoping that if only a single pilot is needed to monitor the aircraft, they could complete the flight with just two flight deck crew, with one pilot resting whilst the other monitored before swapping over. This concept has its merits, but also its critics. Aviation has tended to work with an overabundance of safety, and many feel that this is going too far. There are already concerns that ever longer flights and aggressive schedules mean pilots are overworked and more tired than they should be. With some airlines already pushing pilots to the legally allowed limits of flight time, they fear that this plan could be inviting trouble. There are further concerns that this is just the tip of the iceberg. What starts as just the cruise phase of ultra-long-haul flights could extend to all flights, then takeoffs and landings, and then how long until full automation. However, with airlines suffering acutely during the pandemic, they're eager to find more efficiencies as they seek to recover from over 15 months of disruption. Many pilots have also suffered in this period with both reduced hours and layoffs, and they and their unions will be eager to ensure that they are not losing out. It isn't clear if the system will even be approved. Current international aviation standards require two pilots for all aircraft carrying more than 9 passengers. Lufthansa have been reported to have dropped out the Airbus project over concerns it wouldn't be able to get approval. At the moment, Airbus is keen to stress that the development, dubbed Project Connect, is only being worked on for the A350, as it's the only plane with sufficient automation. A key feature of the system is already present on the airliner, which automatically quickly reduces altitude in the event of a cabin depressurization at altitude. The two companies are hoping to start making commercial flights using the system in 2025. What do you think about the concept of only one pilot monitoring the cruise? Would you even notice? Do you care? Is it that different from a pilot just nipping to the bathroom? Let us know in the comments.